Being frightened of the water is a common thing. Ever since we watched the movie Jaws, we're scared of even running a bath. But there's a specific type of this condition known as thalassophobia, a Greek word that relates to intense fear of the sea. So, if you have that, you might want to avoid our rundown of unknown sea monsters. But aren't you just a little bit curious? Go on, take the plunge and find out. When you think of a rabbit and then a shark, you know which one is going to be in trouble, right? However, what if we told you a shark could be like a rabbit? Check out the buck-toothed ghost shark, which was identified in 2017 by researchers in California. They studied a fish of a kind found swimming in waters of the Southeast Atlantic and Southwest Indian Ocean. It looked like a ghost shark due to its big head and tapering tail, yet this one stood out because it had prominent teeth of the kind you'd see on a Bugs Bunny. It was exceptionally bulky and powerful looking, measuring 1 meter 3 feet in length. Ghost sharks move from place to place using their pectoral fins. They aren't sharks but have connections to the shark world and are also like rays. We guess experts refer to them as sharks as it's cooler. The bucktooth variety is the 50th ghost shark discovered and the second biggest on record. The mysterious creature has been put into the genus category Hydrolagus, Greek for water rabbit. Does it eat carrots? Maybe. Studying life forms that call the deep sea home is tricky, as they stay out of the way most of the time. A crab claw was seen in the stomach of one of these amazing animals, giving scientists some clue as to its eating habits and what it likes for dinner. Aside from that, we've only just scratched the surface when it comes to this goofy but fascinating fish. We now go from a creature with big teeth to one with no teeth at all. It gets its sustenance another way, as we're about to find out. This is Cuphis polythalamia, and until a couple of years ago or so, it was a mystery. People knew it was there, they just couldn't get a hold of it. The theory went that it was a shipworm, which are usually small things that feed off and digest wood. They had been known to sink ships if they fancied a meal. This was a shipworm with a difference though, as big shells had been spotted in the 18th century, suggesting the Cuphis polythalamia was the mother of all shipworms. Experts from Northeastern University and University of Utah had their fishy prayers answered in 2017 when 5 of the creatures were dug out of the mud. Located in a shallow bay in the Philippines, they represented humanity's first documented encounter. So, what were they like? The worms were between 1 and 1.5 meters, 3 and 5 feet, and measured 2.4 inches, 6 centimeters across. We already knew about their shells, but still, it must have been impressive to see the shipworms wearing them like armor. The shells have even been compared to tusks, as they're so powerful. But the most interesting thing about these mysterious worms is the way they eat. Shipworms enjoy a good tree or two, but it works very differently with Cuphis polythalamia, because it lives in the mud. Not just that, but it lives face down. It's developed another method of sustaining itself. What happens is that the mud naturally produces hydrogen sulfide, which doesn't sound tasty, but the worm's body turns it into a food source. It does this by using bacteria inside the gills to transform the gas into an organic material. Sounds disgusting, but what do you expect? They live in the muck. This shows just how extraordinary nature can be, with animals making a life for themselves in the nastiest of environments. Now, this video is titled Monsters, and so far we haven't showed anything too monstrous. That's about to change as we introduce you to the deep-sea lizardfish, also known by the crazy name Bathysaurus ferox. It was called that by Albert Gunther, a Brit zoologist who saw it in 1878. What does the name mean? Fierce deep-sea lizard. Why is it called lizardfish? Simple, it looks like a lizard. As with our previous entry, descriptions of the fish existed before they were actually encountered with modern cameras and such. They live in tropical and subtropical waters, and a team from Eastern Australia finally managed to study it in 2017. The frightening lizard's face is accompanied by an eel-type body. 20 inches, 50 centimeters in length, it dwells thousands of feet below the surface, where it hides in the muck. If you're a small critter and unlucky enough to swim past, then it's game over. Most horrifyingly, the fish has hinged teeth which work against you if you try to break free. It's like being in quicksand, working yourself further and further toward the monster's stomach. Needless to say, this animal is not friendly. Reportedly, if you put it in an aquarium, it starts chomping away at its tank mates. Plus, you wouldn't want it served up on your dinner plate, as apparently the flesh is mushy. Delicious. Adding to the deep-sea lizardfish's formidable reputation is the fact that they are hermaphrodites, so can easily reproduce with one another. This little beast has a massive liver that takes up 20% of its overall mass. Why? We don't know. It's all very mysterious. Another weird thing is lizardfish can glow in the dark. While it's not clear why the fierce deep-sea lizard can do that, even the thought is scary enough. At least you'd be able to see it coming. Predators come in all manner of shapes and sizes, but some behave in pretty strange ways. Take our next choice as a prime example. The sea slug called Cratena peregrina or pilgrim hervia is found in the Mediterranean Sea or the Eastern Atlantic. Growing to between 1 to 2 inches, 3 to 5 centimeters, and with a milky tone to their skin, they also have colorful and eye-catching gill clusters on their bodies. The Cratena peregrina is also noticeable for its orange rhinopores, or ears, and 2 tentacles that resemble horns. Now, if that isn't a monster, we don't know what is. Rocky environments suit it best, as unsuspecting coral polyps discover to their cost. Previously, it was thought polyps were this sea slug's snack of choice, but the truth is a little more complicated and weirder. They certainly seem to like consuming polyps, but turns out they're more interested in what the polyp has been eating, namely plankton. Once the prey has finished its lunch, the slug slimes its way in and swallows the polyp. Why does it do that? Because the slug is a kleptopredator, preferring other things to do the eating before enjoying a meal within a meal. Apparently their diet is half polyp, half plankton. We've heard of getting someone to chew your food for you, but that's ridiculous. And we only found out about this repulsive act in detail recently, when experts studied it in 2017. Mystery solved, though it doesn't make for a pleasant viewing. If you're interested in something a bit more aesthetically pleasing, you might be intrigued by our next selection. It's another sea monster, so it won't be pretty, but it almost is. What do we mean? You'll find out as we move on to the frilled shark. Yes, sharks come with frills, though as you might have guessed, these aren't of the soft variety. The frills on this shark, or Chlamydocylacus anguineus, are really teeth with 3 points on them. A frilled shark has approximately 300 of these vicious chompers in its mouth, which are perfect for grabbing hold of prey. They are said to resemble backward needles. Sounds very painful and nasty. Unfortunate victims include squid and even its own kind. If you're a tasty morsel swimming around in its natural habitat of the Pacific or Atlantic Oceans, then watch out. Researchers at the University of the Algarve took a good look at this snake-shaped creature, which is 1.5 meters or 5 feet long. It landed on their desk after it was accidentally caught by a fisherman and then died. Not good for the fish, but great for marine science. Back in 2003, a large group of frilled sharks were netted in a similar way, though it seems as if the boat interrupted a private moment as the sharks were busy mating. X-rated material aside, the frilled shark is fascinating because of its status as a living fossil, i.e. a form of life that has remained pretty much the same over millions of years. Astonishingly, this monster has been on our planet around 80 million years. Even if you find its appearance shocking, you might want to give it some respect for that at least. The monsters on this rundown are like something from a horror movie, and some have bizarre habits beneath those monstrous exteriors. Some, however, are plain weird on the outside, as our final choice aptly demonstrates. What on earth is a Mola alexandrini, or sunfish? Some think it looks like a pancake, which is pretty accurate, but it isn't right. A fish like this was caught in 1996, but wasn't identified as Mola alexandrini till over 20 years later. That's because scientific knowledge wasn't advanced enough to work it out. It was in fact mistaken for another type of sunfish at first. This whopper found in the southern hemisphere can reach approximately 10 feet, 3 meters in size. The 1996 catch also turned out to be the heaviest ever bony fish, just over 2,268 kilograms, 5,000 pounds. Bones are the key word with the Mola alexandrini. Whereas similar species have cartilage skeletons, this creature is unusual in that it has one made of bone. It isn't the most attractive of things you'll find in the sea. Another name for it in Japanese is ushimanbo, meaning cow. This describes the shape of its head, which is decidedly bumpy. We mentioned some bizarre habits, and the cow-headed monster certainly has those. You're likely to see it lying on its side near the surface of the water. It isn't dead, probably just catching some rays as it swims in cold temperature, and some sunbathing would do just the thing, right? It could also be collecting oxygen that way. And strangest of all, it could be displaying itself so seagulls will swoop down and peck at it, removing various parasites in the process. Maybe the birds think they're tucking into a giant pancake floating in the ocean. Who knows? From fish that look like wagon wheels to ghost sharks, there's a lot to be frightened of under the water. But a little understanding goes a long way to appreciate how amazing these monsters are, despite their worrying reputations. Did we include all the most unknown sea monsters? Let us know in the comments. If you liked the video, then click the subscribe button and turn on notifications, and you'll be the first to know when we release a new video. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.